just come off preparation for Copa America. Talk about Copa America expectations and this whole golden generation sort of moniker. And I've been one that has said you got to have a signature win along the way, right? Where are you with all this? Do you like the moniker? Does the team like it? Are you embracing it? Like, what do you see for this group?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you see a lot of guys who are playing at the highest levels across Europe, which is, I mean, what you're going to want in a national team, guys playing at top levels and competing against the best in the world. And I think we're in a good place. We've come a long way in recent years. Obviously, a pretty strong performance in the World Cup. Coming into this, we've won, the last couple Nations Leagues. And then with Copa America on the horizon, I mean, there's definitely, it's definitely time to step up. We do need to get some big results. It's not good enough to just play well and say, oh, we played well, we can compete with them. It's time to start winning.
All right, words there from our very own Tony Meola and, of course, Captain America, Christian Pulisic. So let's dive into it. Our resident number 9s here, Charlie Davies and Brian McBride alongside Conrad. What's up, everybody? So with regard to Christian's words, I guess we have to continue to bring up this stat because it's true. Gregg Berhalter has won 5 games against teams in the top 20 based on the FIFA World Rankings. 4 of them were against Mexico, who arguably are in a down cycle right now. And then the other one was against Iran, who I don't think really screams top 20 when you think about that. But it was in the World Cup and it was a big result. So I don't want to take anything away from that moment. However, if we can beat a Uruguay or a Colombia or Brazil, that feels like more of the signature win that Tony was discussing. And Brian, I'll come to you first on this. Is it just the results? Like, we can go and maybe scrape a 1-0 on a set piece, but do you feel like there has to be now like an aesthetically pleasing component to how we perform as well to kind of mesh the result being a positive one?
You're going to trigger me here.
Yes. We've never had McBride get triggered before, Chuck.
Yeah, I don't think.
We're onto something here.
No, listen, I think what everybody wants, and I could be completely wrong, but what I think what you're talking about, Jimmy, is we've gone into games against big teams and been defending, 75% of the time, not have a lot of possession, and just hope and pray for set pieces to come and for us to get the goal and sneak a win. In a tournament like this, we'll take it. Is that going to change people's minds? No, it won't. Not about this team. So the signature win is great. And on paper, he'll have another stat that Greg will have another stat that, okay, it's now, 6 wins. The thing that really would change this dynamic is if we're able to have a signature win and outplay teams,
yes,
these top teams. And what that will do is when those top teams come up against us, they'll know, wait a second, they have to worry about us. And so there's a mindset and a mentality change that can happen with that type of signature win. Because until we get that, these top teams aren't going to be afraid of us.
Chuck, and I agree with you, McBrizzle. Not only do I want to just
Brian,
beat Brazil, I want to kick Brazil's ass. I want to kick Brazil's ass, Chuck. That is the signature win that I want.
Well, no, I was going to go back to McBrizzle in 2002. You beat Portugal, and you didn't have a signature win up until that point with Bruce, right? But you beat them.
We did. We had beaten Germany 3-0 at home, but then it's like, oh, it's a friendly and you're on home soil. So in a tournament, it matters. These are moments. And yes, Charlie, for sure. That was like, oh, wait a second, this team's got something.
And when you beat Portugal and you end up, spanking Mexico in the knockout round, and you get to Germany in the quarterfinals, you probably all had it in your mind, okay, we beat Portugal, we had a great start. This is very possible, right? And I go back to the 2009 Confederations Cup. We were playing for nothing. We were playing against Egypt. The last game, we already been beat twice, and we had 2 losses in our minds. We're not going through, but let's end the tournament on a high. Let's end it on a positive and beat Egypt. Next thing you know, a miracle happens. We beat Egypt. Now you're playing against Spain. Same thing. You beat Spain. That's the signature win. A great win against Egypt, but beating Spain is a signature win. They hadn't lost in 2 years, defending Euros champions. They end up being the World Cup champion. But that gives not only our group hope, but I think the country and the youth products hope that, hey, we can play a certain way. Sure, we didn't outpossess Spain and we didn't play them off the park, but we executed a game plan to perfection. And I think when you guys played Portugal, it wasn't so much that they played you off the park. I thought you guys had a good spells of possession. You were great down the right flank, whipping balls in, winning those tackles. That Portugal probably were like, who the hell is this? This can't be the United States.
Yeah, first half, they were scratching their head. They were all looking at each other, pointing fingers. And you know, as a team, as a player, you guys know that. You're like, oh yeah, we got him. We got him. They came out the second half, and things were a little bit different. Let's just say I'm glad there was an added time onto the end of the added time.
Yeah, my signature win with the U.S. was a 1-1 draw against Italy in the World Cup. But we were down. We were down a player. It felt like a win because we were down a player. We went down a goal. McBride got elbowed in the face, had blood coming down after a De Rossi elbow. So there was some signature moments in that 1-1 draw / win for me. But yeah, that was
only team to take points off Italy.
That's true.
Tournament.
We'll take it. And they ended up being World Cup champs. All right, so here's a quote for us to dive into as well. It's from Tyler Adams via The Athletic. He said, "We believe we're in the top 4 teams in Copa America when we are at our best. But you can't do that without proving you can win knockout games." And I feel like that's the theme of this particular segment of ours. Like, what is it going to take for us to do it? And I do think it's a valid conversation to have between just getting the results or playing really, really well and maybe losing. Kind of a would you rather type question that I once posed to Jurgen Klinsmann. I've told that story before, but I would love for us to have that win where we play a Colombia who just slapped us a couple weeks ago and give them a chance to slap them back, or take on Brazil and really show them what we're made of. It's going to be an interesting test for us. And I'm really clamoring for a signature win in that style where we can demonstrate that we are, and to Tyler's point, we can go toe to toe with the very best. I wonder how that game unfolds. I think there was something to be said. I guess going back to the Bolivia game. Now, Bolivia had only won 1 game, I think, in the last 12 months or something crazy, and it was against Peru.
No, more than that.
Okay.
Years.
They haven't won a away game in
Copa
like 9
America
years.
is like years.
Yeah, it's been forever, right? 2015, I think, was the last time Bolivia won in the Copa America. But they had beaten Peru recently in World Cup qualifying. I thought, wow, I just saw Peru-Chile, and I want all 90 minutes of my life back after watching that. It's just a slugfest. And I thought Bolivia was going to come out and just kick us, you know, and that was going to be a test of because I thought in moments against Colombia we just looked a little soft. And I feel like if we get a signature win, there's going to have to be us playing on the front foot and kind of using what Thomas Christensen, the manager of Panama, said about against Uruguay in the first half, that they played with too much respect. They weren't like trying to get after Uruguay and making it difficult for them. And I want to see that element as well. That's going to be part of the package, I think, if we're going to have.
So who does that play outside of Tyler Adams? Who does that play into's game? Like who benefits the most from having to do that or play like that?
You want me to
in terms of what, like players or teams?
Yeah, our players. If you're saying, hey, this is a group that needs to dig deep because they're labeled soft. Outside of Tyler Adams, people would say, okay, they're not showing that they're going to throw bows if they need to throw bows. You know, although you could make that argument, hey, in the Mexico game when we beat them 3-0, we didn't back down. Maybe it wasn't smart in the way we didn't back down because you gotta read that they're trying to level the playing field by getting you to overreact and get a red card so that they're up a man that can change the game. But with that being said, do you think that this group needs to show a game where they're just fouling and let's say they play Brazil and every time Vinny Jr. gets the ball, boom, or Rodrigo, you know, and showing that type of mentality?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what's going to happen if they want to kind of break up the rhythm of any top team. But I remember in the Brazil game in the friendly, there was a reaction, right? I think they were, or maybe Greg had mentioned, or the coaching staff said, hey, we got to be a little bit tougher. And Pulisic came and just ran somebody over, a couple minutes into the game. And I was like, all right, guys setting the tone. So Pulisic is not an issue for me. I think he's really grown into the role and grown into being a leader and wearing the captain's armband. But there are some others that I guess that could find that part of the game a little bit more. Though we've seen them do it. I think every player has done it, but can they do it consistently? Can there be somewhat of a, I don't know if it's planned, but when I watch a Uruguay play or someone else, I mean, they are just like, if they press and then they get slightly beat, it's a foul, right? They're going to bring you down in some capacity.
I think to build off of what you said, Jimmy, Kevin Paul in the comments said, is anybody nervous about McKinney during these last 3 games? Because seems like he's a tad slower than in previous tournaments. And maybe this is a player who you need him to get, physical, get kicked. He'll get a couple kicks to get going, because I found too that typically he has a little bit more of a engine to him, and he's a little bit more active, and you see him more throughout the match. And he has been quiet over the past 3 matches, more so last night against Bolivia.
You touched on some, and what I was going to answer before is Weston McKennie is a big game player. And, when we go into games where we're sort of like that, we should win this game, this shouldn't be a challenge, there might not be as much focus from him that we would want to see. That's just something that I've taken away. But as soon as you kick Weston McKennie, that game's on, and you're going to get, goes beast mode, and he's not going to back down. He's one of the toughest guys, certainly on our team, but in soccer himself. And then you add in Yunus Musa, who, he gets kicked and he's smiling still, and he'll just go by you and wave, hey, see you later. So we have guys in there that have the capability and the physicality. But that mentality is got to be throughout the whole team. And it's got to be exactly what we've seen done against us when we play weaker teams in CONCACAF. You saw yesterday the referee does not want to give out yellow cards. I mean, the amount of times, especially in the first half, where I forget his last name, number 6, just basically ran over players, our U.S. players. He got 1 yellow card. He could have had 3. So that mentality of like, listen, all right, we're going to let you know you're in a game. It has to be there from the start and all the way to the finish against the best teams.